time for a mowing today, I think, and I've got the energy to do it with a bit of mother. Um, I want to talk about looking up to something. Now, now I hear that people, besides that, that people like to be God. Huh? I want to be God. You sure? Are you sure? Hey, have you ever seen God? We've heard stories about people talking about such things, but people are good at talking about a lot of things, definitely for money and a way of living. But have you ever really seen God? Now, there's God, the all universe God. That's no man. That's just is. You're in it, right? You don't see what you're in, right? That's the universe. But say a God, like stories that we hear, there's all sorts of beings, right? Aliens and stuff. But you wouldn't want to be the God. Like, you know what happened in our story, what I believe of our God, right? Our God is like a human like us. Perhaps they needed to get to another planet, right? As they've already fucked it, or it was going to become fucked because of what's around them. Their time was coming to an end, which would be the better story. Um, and they travelled to another planet, as we show in movies, right? And on this other planet, they rock up, they have a story, they try to do a new way, maybe. They maybe want to do experiments to see how a new way would flow, things like that. And as you see in these movies, there's many outcomes of what can happen in such stories, right? In fact, they might even drop off some of us and go to another planet. It's more wise, right, to do that if your ship's still functionable than just having it hovering out there, left there, you see. It could even be a thing like the moon. It still is there, you see. But anyway, enough of all that. Back to, I want to be like God. I want to be God. How do you do that? Well, I'll tell you right now that humans, but when you become God, it can be a collective thing too in this story. So humans are heading that direction now to be like God, to be just like their story in a way. Down the track, it could easily turn into that with Chinese whispers over time, as we're not very good at actually keeping information. In fact, we can make things better and then lose information and control and dominate with other problems that we have and lose information. What are you doing? Okay. All right. Sorry about the noise there, everybody. All right. It's a bit noisy. Someone's trying to connect something. Um, there we go. Oh, that's the camera system. So anyway, back to humans wanting to be God. So what they do is, why do we hate God? People hate God. People talk about God, oh, he's come and left these stories, right? Which is what I'm talking about. They're just stories, right? Oh, I'm going to go. Hang on, guys. It's a little sidetracked. They're just stories. Come, cat, out of the room, please. Gonna definitely have the cat out because they're one of the, when it comes to cats with intelligence, animals with intelligence, they're one of the feralest intelligent animal out there. If you had to pick one, like humans pick races, right? As they know better, but they don't do better. They could actually, they're just like humans, really, in a way. They can get it right, and then they decide not to and shit and destroy, and you got to constantly punish them. So who relates to that the most? Probably why you got cat lovers. They're best to have just a few. How does that relate to humans again? But aren't we so similar to the animals here? There's stories about mixing DNAs and creating other things with DNAs, and who knows that all animals have a little bit of our DNA or we have a little bit of its, but none of all that. That's got to do with the God story that we're still got to continue just before we become a God, right? And so in this story, and God's been forgotten and all that, and he's not really a God. He gets told off until he turns up. Right? There's no real. We got words of wisdom, which is words of society, right? If you want that society, you go for those words of wisdom. If not, you truck along with what you see around you and what you've been having slowly or whatever. But words of wisdom plus going through experiences create societies, right? If they all bully and become a bully, that's a bully society that bullies. We have many movies to show many representations of that. But back to humans wanting to be a god. So to get to this god story, what you need to do, I'll round it down for you real quick now, is what you do is you do what you're doing now. We were at to create an image like they did, right? Their story could be slightly different than ours, but it's all a way. There's many ways of doing the same thing, right? As well, right? And our story in this one that you can understand of becoming a god, right, is becoming a story, right? And what happens there, here's one I can show you, and you can do it with human beings and other things and lots of ways. This one's with robots. And what humans do, and same with the other god, I guess, that's why we call him a slacker and where is he and stuff, right? Is the robots will get to a certain intelligence and then go, hey, we're smarter than you. Hey, we don't need you. Hey, actually, we're your god. Hey, this is weird, right? Like humans say now, they don't need God and all that. And I guess we're the god and we can go kill him, the devil story and all that kind of crap, right? We try to explain our story, right? But it's our turn to cop what we're trying to understand in a way, right? As we're trying to upgrade and get somewhere where we don't understand. Like that lady who goes, I want to know in Indiana Jones. It's like the alien's like, okay, here we go. There you go, you know now. See you later. You don't need to be here, right? You've done this life. You're not going to die. You're not going to find out in the next way. You just want to know now. Here you go. You're dead. There you go. You to the source. You're downloaded. There you go. There's nothing there's no ego left. There's nothing, right? You're past all that. You're gone. Shocking, eh? But let's get back to this story. So what happens is the robots outdo us. They blow us up. They kill us. They get upset, just like we talk about in stories, how we strung up Jesus, right? See, I look up to be a Jesus, but I wouldn't want to look up to be a God, right? Jesus was a cool being. Had abilities, doesn't mean he's a god, doesn't mean he can do something you can do, he's a god. Do you think you're a god to an animal? You suppose you do, right? But technically you're not. You're just a better being, right? And you got another choice of selecting, just like that dog is another better being of the ant, and he can decide to walk on that ant or walk around the ant or be with the ants. You know what I mean? And most of the time they don't choose be with the ants, do they? They either tread on or walk around. If you don't like it, just walk around it. It's been at least given their turn, and you're not making the I'm God dominating. See, the God in the end gets not liked, right? In the end, unless you just got the universe, which just is God. Right? I like to say that a lot because a lot of times it is just is, isn't it? People can say a lot of things. We can spit. We can do it all day. We spit when we get out. We spit all the time, right? But it doesn't give the truth. We can create the truth by spitting, and we can create truth by many things. It takes many things. Usually when outcomes happen, definitely bad outcomes or very good outcomes, takes many things. And so how we become a god is that they kill us all, wipe us all out, and then next minute they create another one of us, or they want to be like us. They might even try being like us, like we see in the movies for a little bit, just before they wipe us out, getting a bit of more education. They'll do it quicker than us because their upgrade is they can't forget, right? If they got certain abilities, which is hard drives and stuff. So you allow certain things they can't forget, they can keep learning. There's going to be an outcome, right? Every test will always be remembered, and it could be programmed in the wrong way, like a head switch, right? And you can head the wrong way real quick too, like in the stories that we talked about, humans themselves, right? It's what they call the awakening, right? That's what you call a click moment. And then when you have a certain click moment where you don't believe, and kids leave home and stuff, it's all the same thing. It happens quick, right? As they've got a click moment of truth and realization. That's what creates a click moment. It can't be tricked. If it does, it'll be a not right trick, and then later on that click will have to go away. But a click moment usually takes several years, right? And they either click into the trick or they click that it's a trick. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And they happen by what you go through, right? And so humans are rushing off to be like God. Cool. So we'll be destroyed, and then we'll be talked about by the next race about humans, how they created them. You see? The robots like, they created us. But we don't forget. We forget. So we're worse than them. It took us a while. But they won't forget and go, we've got the whole story. Just like how we get evidence. And we can do that and use machinery so much and actually make it a benefit for our lives if we use it to not be lazy and all the curses and sins. But if you use it for all the curses and sins, oh, I want to be lazy, I want to be like God, pretty much do nothing, that's what I believe, right? Everyone look up to me. But God be the biggest worker. See, the more responsibility you have, the more harder that job is, and you better want to like it. You're not getting there to be dominated. People fear because he's got a big job. He's there everywhere. He's got no time for the ego. He just comes and does. That's what the ultimate God does, either destroys or helps, right? Whatever its opinion is. That's why everyone wants to be a God, because it can just be my opinion. Oh, okay. Right? But anyway, good luck with rushing off to be a God. Perhaps when you try to be a God and all this story happens, you know what the outcome of that test is? And it's a test that's just sad, like someone looking through a barrel and seeing what the trigger does. It just ends, right, for you. But something does learn, doesn't it, everybody? The robot. And another story goes on, right? So who wants to rush off to be a God? Who wants to be lazy, or who wants to actually work with things out there, as you can slowly get to these areas and understand it, instead of being like the woman, I want to know